Okay, we're going to be doing a preventative maintenance and annual testing on a oxygen concentrator. This particular concentrator is an Invacare. The manufacturer is an Invacare, and the model is an IRC 5PO2. The information on that you can find is right behind here. This is a cabinet door. This is what I'm going to be opening. This is where the HEPA filters and all the information that you'll find is going to be behind here. So I'm going to open this up. This is the HEPA filter. Usually you'll see this filled up. It'll be, it'll be black or gray, filled up with dust and debris and stuff like that. So this actually is the second defense against any debris or dust going into the machine. Your cabinet door is the first defense. So usually this gets really bad, and this is the first thing you want to change. Second thing you want to change is the HEPA filter. Behind here you'll see there's a list of it looks like sequences. You have a red and green light. If there's anything going on, if it's there's a problem with the oxygen concentrator, what you'll see is that there will be a sequence, some lights on the actual board that will display, and this pretty much is a cheat sheet. It'll tell you what's going on with it. So let's say, for example, there's a continuous light show going on, 1 red, 2 green. That's going to indicate that the oxygen concentrator has high pressure and no switching, meaning that something's going on where it's getting high pressure, it's pushing too hard. This usually, the remedy of fixing that would be either a 4-way valve or a pilot valve. I'm going to be opening up the concentrator shortly, just to show you exactly where those pieces are. Okay, so the serial number and the model number. It's pretty hard to see in this angle, but here, let me bring it in here. Usually there's the serial number there, and that's where you can identify this piece of equipment. If you needed parts or anything like that, you need to call the manufacturer to locate parts. That's where you're going to locate the serial number and the model number. In the front here, we have your on and off switch, we have a reset button, we have your barb connector. This is where the tubing goes into, let's say, the face mask of the patient. And just like this display here, this is the hours, how many hours are on this machine in particular. It's kind of like a car with the mileage, but this is hours. So if the machine, you see high miles, or a car you see high miles, it's the same thing. Preventative maintenance helps this machine work properly and efficiently. So here, let's open it up. Okay, and sorry, forgot to say that this is what controls how much oxygen is coming out, how many liters of oxygen is coming out. Of course, this is a 5-liter concentrator. They go up to 10 and higher, depending on the necessity of the patient. But this one in particular is a 5 milliliter. So let's open this baby up. Okay, behind here, see these things here, they look like jetpacks. They're actually called sit beds. SIEVE beds. And what this does is it's a filter. It's also a filter. It recycles the air coming into the machine. So what it does is it pretty much filters the CO2s and any of the oxygen that's around the room and converts it into pure filtered oxygen. Now, those pieces that I was talking about earlier regarding the if something was going on with it, let's say the high pressure alarm comes on, there's a four-way valve. This is the four-way valve. It's located right here in the bottom. And what this does is it takes in it's kind of like a carburetor. It takes in the oxygen. It does everything that it has to do inside of it mechanically. And then underneath it, it's hard to see, but underneath the four-way valve, you'll find a pilot valve. And that also is significant into making sure that the machine is running properly. Sometimes, if it has high hours, these are the first things to go on the machine. Sometimes these sit beds also go bad. Usually there's also things like slow leaks. You might measure it with the O2 analyzer, which I'm going to show you guys later. The O2 analyzer measures how much oxygen is coming out of the machine. So sometimes you might get high pressure, meaning that it's working too hard, and there's something major going on with the four-way valve or the pilot valve. Then you have low pressure and low O2, and that's because either there's a leak, usually in these tie wraps, kind of leaks through here. Inside here, there's also lots of tubing where the oxygen goes and gets through the whole process of it being filtered, and you have to replace these. So sometimes these get loose, you have to replace them. You look for leaks. And the sit beds also, sometimes they crack. Sometimes they get abused. They get pushed into doors and walls and kicked. So they go through quite abuse. But these are little signs that you can see to make sure that you find anything that's going on with it, and make sure that you work on it accordingly. So also, let me turn it around here. This here is the compressor. This is the engine. Let's see here. This is the capacitor. And this is the circuit board. It's right in here. Let me see if I can tilt it here for you. Here's where you'll find those lights, those red and green lights. They'll turn on simultaneously, and then you'll see them just giving you the code that what's going on with the concentrator. So we're going to turn it on, plug it in. You're going to hear a loud beep. That's normal. That's actually letting us know that there's a lot of power going into the switch to turn it on. This is our milliliters. We're gonna, every time we do a test on a concentrator, you always want to test the highest amount of liters that is coming out of the concentrator. So we want to go all the way to 5. This here, this is the oxygen analyzer. This is where you turn it on. And usually you always want, this is how you know that it's calibrated and it's in good standing, is when it's on 20.6, 20 point, it has to be in the 20. No greater than 21 and no less than 20. This is how much normal oxygen is in the room at the moment. So This is the tubing. We're going to put it into the barb connector. And you can see it start jumping up. And a passing concentrator, something that concentrator that passes all exams, the whole preventative maintenance, it has to go past 90. If it's lower than 90, there's some type of leak. There's something going on. You have to keep searching until you find the cause of the leak, the cause of it being low. You can never get over 99. You can never get 100% off oxygen ever. But as you can see, it's going 87. It's climbing. It's looking good. 89. So while that's going, I'm going to sit that here, and I want to talk about the sheet. This is your typical service form sheet. See, it's pretty bright. Let's see if I can get it focused here. Okay. It has the technician. Let's see that thing here. Let's see if I can get a better shot of it. Okay. Typically, the sheet will have the technician's name, that will be your name. It will have the manufacturer, the device type, the model, serial number, customer ID, meaning the barcode of the device, how many hours it has, and the reported problem, and how much O2, the percentage of O2 that's coming out of the machine when you're testing it. On the second part, you have service requirements. This is where, let's say if there's an alarm on the concentrator and it's high pressure, this is where you want to write high pressure. And then your part number, description, this is where you would put the part number of the device and the description. Let's say if you replaced a four-way or a pilot valve, you would write that down there so that you know, for future reference, you know that this machine has been serviced for that particular piece of that it needed. And then you complete it, you sign it, date it, and that's it for that. So let's see where our O2 is. Percentage. So this would be considered passing, 90.2. Usually, typically you want to run it for a good, let's say 10 minutes at the most, just so that it builds up the oxygen that it needs to distribute. This is pretty much it on a oxygen concentrator. Thank you for your time, and have a good day.